Hello there, Chicago Rink Rats. Hope you are well and happy Thanksgiving to you all. This is Season 5, Episode 8 of the Chicago Rinkcast from the Rink.com. Goalie wins, recapping the last win and looking ahead to tonight's contest versus Calgary. On the show tonight, we're missing a couple, but we've got great people here aboard. We've got...
Allegedly.
Allegedly. We've got the gatekeeper. Gate is here. He's back, ladies and gentlemen.
It's Mr. Osborn.
Yeah, welcome back, Jeff Osborn. Great to have you here, my friend. How you been?
Glad to be here.
Awesome. And then we've got the Bard. Strong Island's the Bard. Welcome back, Bard, after a 1-week hiatus. Great to see you, buddy. How's it going?
Great to be back. What's going on?
We're doing. We are talking Blackhawk hockey tonight. The last time we met, they were headed on this pseudo West Coast / Midwest road trip, and right now they're headed into Game 4. They are 2-1. We said 2-2 at the worst. Can they go 3-1 tonight? They've got a shot to go 3-1 on this road trip. Do they have a shot? That's the real question. They're playing a very, very tough and very battle-tested Calgary Flames team, the best in the West, if you will. Quick shout-out to our sponsor, www.puck hockey. That's PUCKHCKY.com. Use discount code THERINK in all caps if you want 10% off of some great Rink swag. There's some really good stuff online. Please go check it out. $100 gets you a free t-shirt if you're into it. But make sure you check out our Wink Wet wear.
Easy for you to say.
I know. It's really, really good stuff. So anyway, awesome. We're gonna ride this out. We've got puck drop in less than an hour. Hopefully Shawnee will be joining us. But let's talk a little bit about what went on in their previous game a couple nights ago. They played Vancouver. They were outplayed in every category. They gave up 30 shots through the first 2 periods, 4 goalposts, and the flower, Marc-Andre Fleury, who many said, "Oh, do we really want this guy?" Well, yeah. Since his tough road, I think in the last 5 games, he's had a 93+ save percentage and a shutout victory. Does this look familiar? Gate, what do we think, man? What are we going to do here? These are not the kind of wins you love to see. You kind of go, we've seen this, right?
Well, apparently he's the one guy in Chicago that could get Jeremy Colleton fired, right?
There you go. All right. So
I mean, and all of a sudden, Colleton's gone, and all of a sudden, magically, he is playing better.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was I highly doubt that it was a conscious thing with him, but for some reason, he just didn't play well behind whatever Colleton was putting out there. Derek King comes in, settles everybody down, loosens up the mood, and then Marc-Andre Fleury is now playing like Marc-Andre Fleury again. How long it can last, though? I mean, he gets injured a lot. To stay at this level every single game is going to be rough. I can't see it happening all the time. I mean, literally, he had to be perfect to win this game, and you can't be perfect every single game.
Yeah, agreed. Bard, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, it's not something that can happen as far as long-term success goes. I mean, we all know how great he is, but like Gates said, I think, I'm just waiting for him to get injured. It's just, it happens all the time with him. And, this team needs to be better in front of him. They played better since Derek King became the head coach. No question about that. But to, expect this, what Q used to call them goalie wins, and for that to be their number one go-to way of winning hockey games, it's not really an identity that's going to be, set up for long-term success.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this with Corey Crawford, and I mean, it was just not a good recipe.
Right.
Hawks were winning. When they were winning cups, they were dominating teams. When they were not in the playoffs, they relied on goalie wins. I mean, it's actually that simple. I mean, it was just.
It is, and that's why it's like I've always believed that you need to build the defense and need to build the team down the middle at center, because if you can possess the puck and play defense and keep the puck away from your goaltender, all you need is your goalie to make a couple of key saves, and then you're fine. And that's essentially what what they did in 2010 and what they did. And look, 2013 may be a little bit different, but look how many shots on goal they allowed. They were one of the best in the league. So, and their puck possession was phenomenal, and that's why they were winning. Now it's, as you said, it's the opposite. So you can't really rely on that.
Right. And ladies and gentlemen, Sean Fitzgerald is here. We're so happy to see him. And the hat that he is wearing is the best thing maybe that Chicago sports has going right now. The best in the East in the NBA. tell us about that dome before we get into the Hawks, my friend.
It is a Mitchell and Ness. I think I got a throwback hat. So I got this. It's on Amazon of all places. Mitchell and Ness has a lot of nice throwbacks. I also have a shirt. It says "Winning the Cup isn't everything." It's by Bring Hockey Better. The logo on this side, or the logo right there, I can't. Is to raise awareness for sexual assault and things like that. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
part of the donation from this shirt went to raa.org, I believe, which is a sexual assault organization. But goalie wins. Yeah. Did anyone point out that the opponents that the goalie wins have come against are inferior competition? Like,
yeah. I mean, let's look at who are the Blackhawks 4 wins against?
Vancouver, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Ottawa.
Right.
All teams that are Pittsburgh scuffling, everybody, the rest are all bottom feeders.
Yeah. And Edmonton, they stood no chance. We're going to get in tonight in a little bit, but I have a feeling it could be very, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And
that Edmonton game was a joke. It was like,
it was ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. It was over before it started.
It was over 5 minutes in.
Yeah. Which doesn't make any sense. So those of you that are thinking that flower power is going to sweep through the nation as it did in the summer of 1968, 69, maybe that was 67. I don't know. My uncle went to San Francisco in 67, never came back. But if you want to jump on that, flower train right now with the Chicago Blackhawks, hey, it's great to admire a terrific goaltender because he is that Hall of Fame goalie. No disputing any of that. But is this going to be the answer to the Blackhawks' woes? And the answer is probably negative, unless at the end of the day there's some sort of nice return, if you will, at the trade deadline. But more on that in a little bit. So they're going in tonight. They have a shot at going 3-1 on their road trip. Chance shot, maybe not. I personally believe that they're going to get absolutely destroyed tonight. Sorry, Hawks fans. I do not think tonight is going to be a worthwhile cause. You might be turning off your television a little early and getting a little bit more excited and aggressive for the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, as opposed to going out and celebrating a win tonight. That said, some lineup changes in the cards, all right? Kurashev, healthy scratch. Sean, I want to hear your thoughts about that. You got Kurashev out, Tyler Johnson in. On our last podcast, we talked about maybe it's time for Kurashev to have a seat and think about some things. Let's talk about some of those lineup changes. Who else? Wyatt Kalynuk in the lineup, because Gustafsson, not only is he good at letting in goals for his team, he also takes out his teammates, which is awesome, which is great to see him check someone into his teammate Riley Stillman. We don't know how long Stillman is out for. We'll find out when we get back. Johnny, lineup changes. Will it matter tonight? What do you think of these? We're going to start with you.
I don't think it's going to matter tonight, but for the long term, I think benching Kurashev was the right move. I believe it was you, Andy, last week that said that Kurashev has been unnoticeable and probably needs a game in the press box just to kind of figure himself out. He's had 2 points in the last 5 games. In the Seattle game, it was that assist to Alex DeBrincat that, as Gate pointed out on his Kraken Hostile podcast, Philip Grubauer probably should have saved. In Vancouver, he played 6 minutes and 25 seconds. So the lowest among all players for Kurashev. So that's what they think of him right now. Tyler Johnson's coming off an injury. It's right now he's the guy you got to replace in the lineup. I think Wyatt Kalynuk being in the lineup is because I apologize. Is Caleb Jones in the lineup? I missed that. I know they're trying to bring him back slowly, so maybe that's another reason why he's not in the lineup. And as Gate put out on the old Twitterverse, and Andy mentioned, Eric Gustafsson checking a forward into the back of Riley Stillman's leg, and Riley Stillman is now on the injured reserve. So, yeah.
It doesn't.
Nobody cares, Sean. Nobody cares.
It doesn't look like they're going to have Caleb Jones tonight. So,
and I had a quote earlier. Derek King said something about Eric Gustafsson, what I thought was rather striking. I know this isn't about him, but that he was working his way back, and that's why they played him 6 minutes and 8 minutes in one game. And now that he's worked his way back, that's why he's earning more playing time.
worked his way back from what?
I don't know. But that was Derek King's quote.
Derek
today.
Queen.
Okay.
That was great.
Yeah, there we go. Gabe, what are your thoughts on tonight with the lineup changes and even just the matchup against Calgary? I mean, Calgary's red hot. And
I mean, it's not going to really matter who you put in the lineup. It's a bunch of middle six players and people who are underperforming. A lot of them, like Mr. Jonathan Toews, his possession numbers are okay, but he's not scoring. So much for those 30 goals he was going to score this year. But I mean, you're shuffling. You're like JJ used to say, shuffling chairs on the deck of the Titanic. Yeah, that's really all it is. The team is what the team is. They got a little bit of a boost by the Derek King change. Like, hey, we cost this guy cost Jeremy Colleton his job, and they got a little bit of a boost out of that. But then they are right back to giving up the goals like they did against Edmonton, which were they were out of the game early on. That game, the second and third period were just immaterial after that, and their goalie had to be perfect against the Canucks, who are struggling mightily. Basically, everyone in the league wants the entire front office fired, including the coach, because everyone's underperforming, and they just barely beat them, scoring one goal from Brandon Hagel, Mr. Middle Six forward himself. It's not going to matter. I mean, Calgary, you could be right. Calgary could slaughter them tonight, and then the Blues could come into Chicago next game and just put them through the boards.
Yeah, I mean Brandon Hagel, who's now on the second line tonight. I mean, I think that's where we are, and that's of no disrespect to Brandon Hagel. In fact, that's kind of hey, congratulations, buddy. But Brandon Hagel's not a second line guy. I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, Bardo, what do you think, man? I mean, Toews and Kubalik are splitting up tonight. Does that matter at all?
I don't think it's going to. I mean, quite frankly, going back to what I was going to say about Kurashev is that having watched him a lot, I mean, and he was a guy that, I liked watching him play a lot. He looks very lost this year. Yeah. It's almost like they added all these adults into the room and he just is like, wait a second, what the hell just happened? Because last year he was among a bunch of kids for the most part. And he kind of thrived in that environment. And, and who knows, maybe he's a Colleton guy. I don't know. And I kind of doubt it because I don't think anybody is. But this year he just looks totally lost and doesn't know kind of where to fit in. And, I think he just needs to play his game and just not think about it too much. And I think that's really what the issue is. So I agree. I think this is a good break for him. I mean, getting Tyler Johnson back, we know what he can do with his experience and all that. But again, I'm with Shawnee on this one. These are more long-term moves, not anything that's going to make a difference tonight.
Yeah.
You know what it's almost like is like we were talking about in the pre-chat, like these kids that were all on e-learning for 2 years. Now they get back into school and they're struggling.
Right. I have no idea what's going on.
Prime example of what Bardo was talking about.
That's a great call.
And Philip Kurashev is playing just about 40 seconds less per game. He averaged 13:05 last year. This year it's 12:25. So he's on his average ice time.
I was going to say, I think he is a Colleton guy because Colleton had him when they were doing well down in Rockford. So
they also be a Colleton guy. But they also had like every fringe NHL player that played in the Blackhawks organization when Colleton was doing well during his playoff run.
You mean like Rockford. Brett Conley?
They did not have Brett Conley. He was lighting it up.
Oh, geez. Kurashev came in hot last year. He was also, he had 13 games under his belt in the Swiss League with Lugano. And so he came in, he had been competing. So when he showed up for the first 10 games in Chicago, everyone's like, wow, love this kid. And then the gradual decline was pretty significant once everyone got into game shape and caught up. And now you got a training camp and everything else. And maybe he's just kind of a guy right now. But I mean, I don't know if this will happen, but I mean, if the Hawks eventually do fold at some point and just decide this season is lost, which could be as early as the middle of December or just right around post holidays, I mean, put Kurashev in Rockford for a while and give him the confidence and have him pump in some goals. I mean, the games he's played so far this year, what is he, 5 assists, -6 or something like that? I mean, he hasn't done much. No. He hasn't scored a goal.
No goals. It's all assists. And his assists, his last 2 assists were basically like gimmies. Like Alex DeBrincat just had 2 great finishes.
Right.
And he's waiver exempt, so you could put him through without having to put him through waivers.
Exactly.
Why not take advantage of that?
Do it now.
I mean, even if you wanted to bring up Reichel, and we could debate that. Even if you wanted to bring up Reichel, send Kurashev down, bring Reichel up. If you wanted to do that, you could do it.
Why not bring up Brett Connolly? I'm dead serious. Bring up Brett Connolly. He's got 2 years left on his deal. I think at $3 million, they got to try to move every asset they can at some point. Why not showcase Brett Connolly?
They're going to have to pay somebody to take him.
Yeah, and where does that put them with the cap if they bring up Connolly? I don't know.
Good thing I have the cap page pulled up right now. Right now they have about $5 million in cap space.
Yeah. Okay.
So what is Connolly making? He is making 3.5. So they could do it. It's gonna eat at what they're gonna have at the deadline, but it's not gonna matter at the deadline anyway.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be a really good idea. I mean, because I still think, we haven't seen or heard the last of Kurashev. I still think he's got a shot to have a decent career. I don't think it's time to flush him and say forget about him. He's 22 years old. He still has a lot that he can learn. I do think there's more upside with him as far as him going to Rockford and getting more tutelage than a guy like Hardman. I mean, you can keep Hardman around, just have him battle.
Yep.
I don't know if you're going to send down Hardman and really improve his scoring touch very much. So, hopefully this might not just be a sit in the press box one night type deal, because Kurashev certainly has to get her going. Kind of in that same vein. I mean, we've been talking about. No, everyone's been waiting for finally that time. We've been waiting for about 4 years right now for maybe they'll catch lightning in a bottle. They'll turn the corner and all of a sudden, but here we are again. And we're always in the same spot, or the last 5 years have been in the same spot with the Chicago Blackhawks. I mean, this is what they are, right? I mean, are they going to be much better than they are right now? I know Derek King came in and that was great and that was lovely. And good, Colleton's out because we know he's not the guy. Can we expect any more from this team? Barring some sort of miracle 6-2 convincing win over Calgary tonight. I mean, they don't have any signature wins. I don't think they'll get any signature wins. Bardo, is this just what we're going to have here? Is this it?
I mean, I'm assuming they're not going to win tonight. I mean, if they come out like a house of fire and win this game and make a statement, then yeah, we'll see. And then, then comes the next game and it's like, are they just going to rest on their laurels and lay an egg because they just, had a big win? So I just don't know what the mental makeup of this team is. They're so hard to read because, as expected, they had that little bump after the Colleton firing, King hiring, which you usually get with an interim coach. But it's like, how long is that going to last? I mean, we've seen it last to a team that wins the Stanley Cup. We've seen it where a team, fades into the night. So I don't know. I'm not optimistic, and I know I was one of those early in the season that says it's not over. But I mean, we're running out of time here, and it's just some things are just really not changing. So,
yeah, I agree. Gatekeeper, what do you say, buddy?
The same thing we've all been saying. I mean, the two wins were really on the back of the adrenaline of the coaching change.
Yeah.
And now they're kind of going back to who they, like Dennis Green always said, they are who we thought they were.
Right.
Like that's kind of how it is. And they started off slow because maybe they weren't as good as everyone had originally thought they were going to be. I even thought they were going to be better. I thought they were going to probably they were going to at least compete to be in the playoffs.
A bunch of us were talking playoffs. Yeah.
The rate they're going to have to play at now to just make the playoffs is like some 108 point pace or something like that, which they're never going to do because first of all, they give up a ton of shots, and second of all, they take the least amount of shots in the league. Right. They're the lowest. They put on the lowest amount of shots on net in the entire league. So they got to get people in there that can shoot if they're going to score goals, and they haven't been doing that. So.
Right. I mean, if they're gonna win tonight or have any chance of winning tonight, you need Marc-Andre Fleury to be lights out, and you need Kane, and you need DeBrincat to carry the whole load. I mean, that's it. That's the only way they're gonna win games. I mean, they have no secondary scoring. Their second line doesn't score. It doesn't happen. I mean,
which is sad because it's got Jonathan Toews.
I know. Nothing.
And he's not scoring. He's got no goals.
Goose egg. He might go into December without a goal.
Very likely.
Having played every game.
You know what? Now everyone should go out right now and start betting. Get the Tommy's puck line and bet on Jonathan Toews scoring the first goal tonight because we just said it wasn't going to happen.
That's an idea.
Did Tommy have that on his puck line? I didn't.
I didn't see, but I'm going to say right now, I'm pulling it right now for Tommy's puck line. Jonathan Toews scores the first Blackhawks goal tonight.
I like that. Johnny, what do you say, man? Are we hopeless at this point?
I think we are. I was actually having this discussion with a listener of the pod. Actually, one of our listeners.
Oh, there's one that won the eye.
At least one. At least one. At least
Give it
one.
to us. Who is it? Give me a shout.
I'm not going to embarrass him on the pod.
No names. Okay.
But he does listen.
Right, we love you.
Yeah, we do. Right. And we had the discussion, and basically we came to the conclusion that they're good enough to beat the bad teams, but they're not good enough to beat anybody else.
There it is.
Like that's what they are.
Yeah.
Which is what they were last year. It's amazing that they're that again this year after the turnover they did,
Right. And I think which
goes back to the bigger point. You're either rebuilding or you're kind of going for it. This is what's called being in the middle, what's called mediocre.
It's not even mediocre. It's hockey hell, because you're not bad. You're not bad. Well, you could be bad enough to be in the lottery, but you've already traded that pick away for a quote unquote number one defenseman.
Yeah.
And now you don't know what you're.
Shout out to our guy, John Jekyll. It's like being half pregnant.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
There you go. Go ahead, Sean. Sorry, I didn't.
No. I mean, what I really want to know, and what they should be thinking about. I know Gate had posted this in a chat, or somebody had, that they're slow rolling, trying to figure out who that's going to be the next president or whatever. Like, these decisions need to be made now because they need to know what direction they're going. Yeah. That's the most important decision right now.
I mean, do you really think it's going to disrupt things that much if they were to pick the guy now? It's not. Like, do it. Get it out of the way.
Right.
If you can do it, do it.
Right. And then let the guy start putting his imprint on the organization, whether it's trading, whatever, just make moves. You got to do something. Because
we've said this before. This is I'm sorry, Shawnee. I keep cutting.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I mean, we've said this before. The way to do it, the model to do it, is the New York Rangers. I mean, publicly come out and just say, we are rebuilding. We're going to make some unpopular moves. A lot of you are disappointed. Now the Rangers are flying, and they've got, $9 million in space?
Yeah.
Cap space right now to play with before the deadline. And they look great. And they just said, look, we failed you. We're going to be getting rid of some guys. They prioritize their goaltending ahead of the King, ahead of Lundqvist. And they just said, we're not going to ride jersey sales. We're going to do this the right way. And now they're doing it. And then so... the
Blackhawks tried to kind of do that when they came out last year and said, we're going to go young and all that. I think they thought that's what they were telling people when it really wasn't. And then they turn around during the summer and do the complete opposite, do a 360, bring in a whole bunch of veterans. And then the report from ESPN was, we haven't changed direction. Nothing's changed from the plan. We're still rebuilding. You're rebuilding by bringing a whole bunch of guys in their later 20s and early 30s into your organization
and trading away your first round pick.
People bought in, and I'm one of them.
I am too. And they keep on saying
Tyler Johnson said rebuild.
Yeah, they keep on saying rebuilding. We're going to we want to win right away, and yet we're still rebuilding. We haven't lost focus of that, as what Stan Bowes said. Thank God he's gone. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that was the vision. But that's not a vision. That's like half-ass.
And I don't know. Who knows? This is all completely speculative, what I'm about to say. And so I want to clarify that. But, Stan Bowman could have seen the writing on the wall. He knew the team was being investigated. He might have said, the only way I could possibly save my job is if we have a really, really hot start somehow. So I got to make every single move possible. Again, that's total speculation. But how else can you justify what happened in the offseason with these big signings when they were saying it's time to rebuild? And now it's not working. I mean, I don't, it's just.
Well, the only thing I can think of to justify it is the fact that how big they are about, putting butts in seats and selling merchandise, etc.
Maybe they said we need the money. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or they tried to appease.
Yeah.
Or they tried to appease Kane and Toews because they didn't want to be on a quote unquote rebuilding team. So Stan Bowman did what they could. And Andy, I like your speculation because I think I kind of agree with it. I think Stan Bowman was like, well, I'm going to change the narrative before this comes out.
Right.
So then the team being good and everything will overshadow everything. I don't think any of those guys thought that the team would be this bad. And then the fallout from the Brock and Jenna report would be this bad. That's why I think they made all those moves. I think Stan Bowman, in his infinite arrogance, thought that he would be above it all no matter what.
I would agree.
Arrogance.
Well, they've been like that since like 2013. They've been arrogant about everything they've done.
Well, yeah, arrogance without pedigree is just arrogance.
Yeah. There you go.
You just explained the St. Louis Blues before they won the Cup a couple of years ago. Arrogance without pedigree, or the most recent Nashville Predators.
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Regular season champs.
Yeah.
Arrogance without pedigree. I like that, Sean.
So now here we are again, another season where it's late November and we're already talking about the trade deadline. Which goes to our next point. Mark Lazarus, who I disagree with frequently, did
Me too.
Yeah, I want to clarify that as well. But did come out with a pretty compelling article today from The Athletic talking about now what do you do? Because now all of a sudden, if you think about 3 or 4 years ago when the Hawks were doing what they're doing right now and you're going, oh my gosh, you still have these $10.5 million contracts of Kane and Toews, that are going to be on the books for what seems like an eternity. Now you have about 18 months left of those or something of that fabric, where you've got Kane and Toews this summer will be eligible for extension talks entering the final years of their contract. The same applies for DeBrincat. That might be the first person you talk to about an extension. And then
you could build around an Alex DeBrincat or a Dominic Kubalik or something like that. They still got youth. They still got their career building ahead of them. I don't know what to do about Jonathan Toews.
I don't know what you do there. I don't either. Maybe you just, I don't know. So, let's start with Toews. Bard, what do you do?
Trade him.
Absolutely
trade him.
Question 1B to that. How?
You may have to eat some money, without a doubt. But I think there's going to be value here, knowing that he may not be the scorer that he was in the past, but he still can provide you with being a second, third line center, penalty killer. Right. You never know what he can do in the playoffs, but he does have playoff experience. The health is certainly a risk, but I think there's a team out there, who just brought up the Rangers. I was actually talking to a friend of mine who's a diehard Ranger fan, and he was saying, he's like, Toews would be a perfect fit for the team right now. He's like, with Strohm out right now, which I think he is.
We don't even say that name.
No, he's talking about Ryan Strohm.
No, I don't care.
He can't get away from Strohm.
Why not just a Strohm to fill in for a Strohm?
It's like that Seinfeld where every time Kramer hears Nancy Hart, he starts convulsing.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's totally great.
That guy needs to chill out.
But
he was angry, my friends.
Yeah, he would be a good fit for that team because they're a relatively young team and there's somebody with experience there. There's others who could use a Jonathan Toews, but probably not at that price. So, they're going to have to eat some money. We all knew when this contract was signed that it was going to probably suck down the road. So here we are down the road, and it's going to suck probably. No one's going to take a full $10 million, especially in this, COVID era.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Can they do it this year when he still has 10.5? That's what I don't think they can do. They might
just think about this. For what Jonathan Toews gives you on the ice, and he's a leader and he's all that stuff. Yeah. Is he worth $5 million?
No,
probably not.
I think
so. Even if you eat half of his salary for this year and next year, I don't think you're getting that team is getting $5 million worth of player. That was what they argued about with Duncan Keith. Are they getting $5 million worth of production out of Duncan Keith for what they traded for and that cap hit? And probably not. You're probably getting a $2.5 million worth from Duncan Keith, or you're getting $2 million worth from Jonathan Toews. I don't know that the teams in the upper echelon that are gonna grab that guy to push him over the edge are gonna be able to take $5 million for a third line center.
Yeah, right. Well, and that I'll agree with it. That this year is going to be the harder time to trade him. I would obviously try to do it. But in the off season, maybe you'll be able to do it and still have to eat some money, or maybe you send him over to one of the burial grounds like Ottawa and Arizona that just stash all these big contracts.
You can't.
I don't think they would ever do it.
Well, and he has to waive to do.
He has to waive to do it, and he's actually getting paid He's due $7 million. His cap hit is 10. He's due $7 million.
Let me couch that though. If his health does not allow him to come back next year,
then you can do it.
Then you do it. You put it. Then it's LTIR.
My point.
Yeah.
But
So
I think we're overvaluing. And Dutch just kind of brought up the question here. I think
my boy Dutch.
I think we're overvaluing what Jonathan Toews is worth right now. I think I don't think he's worth nearly I think you're going to have to eat some of his salary, and you're going to have to give him a player like Kurashev for somebody to take his deal. And you're
Which
not
is
going
what
to
happened with Tyler Johnson. That's the whole Tyler Johnson. He's like Tyler Johnson now.
Yeah. And you're
If there's a cup contender going after Jonathan Toews, they're looking for a face-off guy, a penalty killer, and a shutdown guy.
Then we're taking their trash back, and it's going to be a high salary cap hit.
Yes, it is.
It's
going to be a Brett Conley.
Right. This is a Hi-Ho Silva Milton Bradley deal. to put it in another sports term. That's what it is. Or Brett Connolly coming back with Henrik Borgstrom and all those other guys.
I do think that you can probably get, if I'm just hypothetical here, I think if you can get, if the Blackhawks are willing to take half of it, and I think another team would be willing to spend $5 million per as a cap hit on a second/third line center
next year.
Well, I don't know what it is this year. I mean, let's just say the remaining, whatever that is.
The prorated.
Prorated next year is a no-brainer. Someone could do that.
And then next year, right. But that's what I'm saying is that if you're getting a year and 2 months, so essentially 2 playoff runs, I think there's a team out there that would do that.
Just make sure he doesn't get in front of a microphone, though, because he's.
And there's that, no interview.
Dang.
Here's it now. Our buddy Dutch out there. Dutch, how are you? Thanks so much for listening tonight. Also wants to know about Patrick Kane. Obviously, a bigger commodity, a hotter commodity. If there's what kind of team would Patrick Kane fit on right now?
Every team.
Every single team in the NHL. Could you deal Patrick Kane this year? I bet you probably could. You'd have a better chance than Jonathan Toews. I think the bigger question, though, is, and Mark Lazarus brought this up. I can't believe I keep giving Mark Lazarus credit. I need to watch it. but their loyalty to the Blackhawks, these two guys. I mean, they might just want to stay here. They're not going anywhere unless they want to.
Right.
And they could just, Patrick Kane's, he's got a kid now. He really likes Chicago. They could just say, no, we're fine. Sure, will they take a hometown discount? I don't know. Toews will have to. Toews is going to have to take a discount.
But
take a discount.
Here's the X factor. Do you let an interim GM trade Jonathan Toews or Patrick Kane?
Right.
No, you don't.
No. Right.
And with Rocky and the way they think with their wallets, right? Yeah. They're still going to be able to sell jerseys with 1988 on the ice, no matter what they're doing on the ice. Yeah. They're still going to be able to sell jerseys, and you're not going to let your interim GM trade those guys because that will be the end of his career. Because it will never bring anything higher than what those guys are providing for this team, and the fans will crucify him, and he will be the guy that traded those guys. I don't think it's going to happen.
Give all the reason that you do it, and then you let him go.
I think it's the Lazarus reason. Then you wait it out.
Yeah,
you wait it out because you ride it out. You ride out the last 2 years.
I think that's what's going to happen.
And then you go from there.
They're going to ride it out.
You could lowball Toews
until next year's trade deadline.
No, I think they ride it out
$2 million
the whole year.
Deal. Really? Do something like that. Yeah. I don't know what you do with Kane, but you could lowball Toews if you want to keep him around. Offer him a $2 million, for $2 million a year for 3 years or something like that to come around and be the third line center to teach Kirby Dach and all those guys. Sure, you could probably do that. Patrick Kane, you're not going to be able to do that. He's still at a level where he's producing.
Well, worst case scenario, like if Jonathan Toews walked, I'd be bummed. If they watch Patrick Kane test the market and they miss,
don't forget. Lazarus pointed this out in the article.
I would lose my mind.
Seth Jones's cap hit is $9.5 million. You're going to have to pay Alex DeBrincat, and then you have to choose between Toews and Kane. So are you going to roll with 3 close to $10 million cap hits on your team, on a team that needs help everywhere else? I don't think you are.
Yeah, but they have to wait.
I think the biggest wild card here is what is the plan and what is the vision for moving forward. Because if you get a GM in here that says, I am going to tear this sumbitch down and I'm going to rebuild it. I'm going to rebuild the thing. Yeah, I went a little stone cold on that.
Holy fucking
yeah. I mean, to me, it's like if you're rebuilding, I don't think Kane and Toews are going to want to stick around with that regardless of loyalty. And I can see them saying, whoever the GM is, we appreciate your loyalty to the team, but in the best interest of the future of the franchise, we want to move you. Yeah. Waive your no trade clause.
I don't know. I mean, their loyalty might be as strong as anything. I mean, considering that neither one of them have gone in yet over the last 5 years and gone, get me out of here.
Can I throw one wild card in there? Look at what just happened, though, with the whole Kyle Beach thing. Now they have that hanging over them. They were killed on that by the media. They were killed on that by a lot of people, by fans, among others.
By me?
By Shawnee, most important. But now it's like, do you want a fresh start and get the hell away from this?
Yeah.
Or do the Blackhawks want that fresh start to wipe that slate 100%. Clean?
That's all. That's all.
Well, and they might. Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah. Who knows if 33-year-old Kyle goes in and says, Patrick, we want you to waive your trade clause, and Kane might just go.
Well, and here's another thing about Kyle too. Kyle Davidson. If he's the guy for the future, you let him make these decisions. If he's not, you don't let him make these decisions.
If he's making the decisions, then he is the guy for the future. I think
for sure. But if not, you have to get somebody who's going to have the long-term plan and the long-term weight of these decisions on them. Like Gates said, you can't put it all on a guy that's not going to be here, or that's it's totally to go to make it because of Cubs analogy. Theo Epstein stepped away.
Oh, here we go, Sean. Here we go.
Stepped away a year early so Jed Hoyer can make the long-term decisions for the franchise because he wasn't going to be around. Same thing.
Nobody cares, Sean.
I'm just
Nobody
saying.
Cares.
It's just it's an analogy that works for me.
Yeah, who knows? Believe it when we see it. I guess with the Kane and Toews thing. I don't know. I hate you, Kyle. Anyway,
Davidson. Let's preface that.
Nice talking with you, Cap. See you around.
There, that's what.
Hey, Cap. How's it going?
Well, all right. 2 more on this. Kubalik. What are we doing with Kubalik?
Trade him.
Unfortunately,
I was waiting for you to call me.
He's a Kubalik guy.
I'm a Kubalik guy. I like Kubalik, but I can understand why he's kind of limited. He's a sniper, and that's what he is. And when he's not sniping, he just disappears out there. So I mean, I can get that. What can you get for that? He's got youth. You might be able to get something good for him. While I like Kubalik, I would understand why you would trade a guy like that at this point in his career. You might, you get something positive for him. You're not bringing back somebody else's salary. You're not having to take a loss on that deal. You're at least breaking even. Probably you're going to get something decent, or at least a future. Yeah. So,
I mean, if anyone offers a first-round pick for Kubalik, I would do it.
100%. Oh, I don't think you'll get that. I know. Even if you got a second, even if you got a second, the guy was a 7th-round draft pick that you got for nothing.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, I don't know. I mean, didn't Hartman fetch a first-round pick at one point?
Yeah, that was a couple of years. That was a low first-round pick. Kubalik's value is down right now.
Brower was for a first-round pick too.
Yeah, but
again, if Kubalik gets hot,
if Kubalik gets hot,
the Hawks continue to lose, then you might be able to get that. I don't know.
I think the value of draft picks have changed since the Ryan Hartman, and Ryan Hartman was like the end of the first round too. Like if you maybe get an end of the first round pick for Kubalik, obviously you do it. But I don't think with his value being so low right now, like he's not scoring goals. Like Gates said, if somebody's giving you a first round pick, it's the last pick in the first round. It's purely on potential. It's not on one.
I'll just say this: if someone calls you up and says, "Hey, I'm going to give you my first round pick for Dominic Kubalik today," you do it.
Oh yeah, today for sure.
Yeah. You book his flight during the call.
No question. Yeah,
it's not going to happen. But if that happens, if anybody asks, I don't care where it's at in the first round.
The thing with Kubalik, as Gates said, he's a one-dimensional player. I mean, you could find those guys in certain spots. I mean, but going back to if you get the last pick in the first round, let's also assume that we have somebody. The Blackhawks have somebody who actually knows how to draft and make value out of it. That to me is going to be even more important than where the pick is. Yeah. Find me value.
Hey, Cap, how's it going?
Yeah.
He knows how to draft.
No, we don't know anything about Kyle in drafting. We don't.
Yeah.
No, we literally only know that he negotiated Kubalik and Andy's name the who shall not be named players' contracts.
Boom. Nailed it.
Yeah. I love that. That was like his flying moment. That's great. Awesome. Anywho, what about Flower? What can you get from
Trade.
Marc-Andre Fleury? And there might be a market for him.
I mean, there's going to be teams that are going to need goalies. It's just a matter of if they have the cap space to be able to hit it, or if the Hawks are going to have to retain, which they probably will. But
Right.
there's going to be a team out there that's going to at least need a backup goalie to be able to be there in the playoffs. And Marc-Andre Fleury as your backup goalie is not a terrible place to be.
No.
There's going to be teams like.
And it'll be prorated, before the deadline, which is.
And
also
I'm going to say this, and I said it during the summer, and some jerk on the internet decided that I was full of crap. But Marc-Andre Fleury to the Toronto Maple Leafs is an insurance policy. Could be something, man.
I had thrown out in the chat the New York Rangers for Marc-Andre.
Another one too.
They've got the cap space and they don't have a proven backup, and
Right.
he could learn that system over there. Or if somehow the Edmonton Oilers can find a way to dump some space to get Marc-Andre Fleury in there, they could use him there.
They would send Koskinen back, but it depends on how long Mike Smith is hurt.
Mike Smith is having some trouble right now. He can't seem to get healthy. And, but again, Shawnee, like you said, I mean, I don't think they've got.
No, they only have a little over $1 million in cap space.
There would be a little bit of money coming back from someone that, hopefully an expiring contract that the Hawks would want after this year.
Yeah.
I mean,
going back to the Rangers, I mean, you also have the Gallant, Fleury connection from Vegas. So there's.
That's good.
Oh, I totally forgot about that, Bardo.
Yeah.
Good
Trade
catch.
And also, let's say Pittsburgh gets hot. Let's say Pittsburgh gets hot.
Pittsburgh's-
And are you going to trace Casey DeSmith and Tristan Jerry over Marc-Andre Fleury in the playoffs?
Nope.
No,
The interesting thing about the Rangers is that you have Georgiev as the backup, who I'm not a big fan of, but I think he's making some decent coin, and he's a restricted free agent and arbitration eligible. They're not going to pay him because they just paid Shesterkin. So you get Fleury as sort of an insurance policy because Shesterkin's had his share of injuries, as has Fleury, but one of them's got to be healthy at one time. So that gives you an experienced goaltender with two quality goaltenders. Georgiev will probably have to come back the other way. And then the Blackhawks will just have a decision to make on him. But I don't think he's a 1A goalie at all. I think at best he's a backup.
Wheaton Academy, the pride of Wheaton Academy, Eric Andrews said to trade Eric Kubalik here.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Eric, there it is. Eric, happy birthday to your lovely wife.
Yeah.
And have some fun on date night. The other thing, I mean, I think best case scenario for the Hawks is that Fleury goes to the Olympics and just shows out. Mm-hmm. I mean, if he stays healthy, he could go. I mean, Canada's goaltending situation is not ideal right now. Marc-Andre Fleury, as Eric has mentioned, I'll give Eric full credit on this one. And then Eric,
it was that Wheaton Academy education.
Yeah. But if he goes to the Olympics and he does really, really well and he stays healthy, then all of a sudden that price tag goes up, and that's a good thing for them. Mm-hmm. That's a good thing. So I don't know, a lot of movable parts here. The Kane and Toews thing, I don't know if that's going to play out how any of us anticipate that it will. It'd just be so easy and so lovely just to say get rid of them and start to move on, but those contracts are so heavy. Mm-hmm. And
I just don't think. I think with Rocky feeling like, they're the boys, they've been around since the beginning, kind of thing. I think he's just going to be loyal to him, and he's going to eat it all the way to the end. Just eat those contracts. Let them, if they're gonna offer him extensions, they're going to. But we debated that, but they're going to let it go. I think they're going to let it go. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to trade him. I think letting Duncan Keith go was about as close as they were going to get to was the only one they were going to let go, and that was because he asked to go.
Yeah, he wanted to be with his kid. Very personal.
So it's like they were going to keep him too. They were going to hang on to all these guys.
The only guy they let go of really was Corey Crawford.
Yeah. Interesting.
We can blame Jeremy Colleton for that.
I blame him for a lot of things.
Yeah, I think we should just blame Jeremy Colleton for as much as we possibly can.
Him and Stan Bowman just wear it all.
Yeah. So
the only thing I think about is when you don't trade these guys at the right time, is then you all of a sudden become what they were with Roenick and all those guys. They just let those guys rot on the vine, and I know it's we're talking about a cap era versus a non-cap era, but still, point is that those guys just aged and aged and aged, and they never let go of them. They were just, loyal to a fault. And it's just like at a certain point, you got to cut bait. And I always give the example about Belichick is that he is a guy that knows when to say goodbye to players. Doesn't always work out, as we know. We saw it with Brady, but he knows guys like Richard Seymour and Ty Law, et cetera. Maybe they've had moments, but they know when the roller coaster's starting to go down.
Well, I mean, it's better. They always like to say it's better to trade a guy a year too early than a year too late. But on top of that, the scenario you're explaining, Brent Seabrook.
Yep.
There it is.
He just died out there. He just died. Just died a slow, painful death in front of all of the Chicago Blackhawks fans. And me, who's a huge Brent Seabrook fan, just watched the guy go from what he was during those cup runs to just not even a seventh defenseman.
Right.
Yeah.
And the LA Kings made this decision a couple of years ago. I know they're close to playoff. Like they could be in the playoffs next year if everything goes right for them. Like they made that decision, and I think not to give credit. I think not to give credit to Laz again, but I think Laz pointed that out.
Man, come on, what is this? You guys are all fired.
Yeah, sorry, I started that. That's my fault.
Stop saying good, Sean. You sound like an ass.
Oh wow, a lot of Sean hate tonight.
Dylan Strohm, another guy up for contract. Yes, I'm going back to his name as much as it makes my ears bleed. And if you can get a bucket of haggis for him, it could be a good meal.
You can't get.
I suggest you let that one marinate.
You can't get a middle round pick. Supposedly,
nothing for Dylan Strohm.
You can't get a middle round pick for him.
They cannot give Dylan Strohm away right now. I mean,
I think you're taking a fifth rounder or lower back for him.
Yeah, after his last game, you just go into his locker room, you say, "Hey, take care, clean everything out, bye," and that's pretty much it. Real quick, we got a hockey game to watch here in about 10 minutes. But we did have a question. Someone, very cool dude,
from Twitter.
We tweet every day, though.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Yeah, Seth Jones contract. He asked the question, something along the lines of, where's Seth Jones going to be traded to in 2040 or something like that? I don't know. It was very basically saying the Seth Jones contract, oh my God, what did we get ourselves into? Would you all agree? We could banter this around for days on Seth Jones contract. Is he trying to do too much out there? Probably. I mean, he doesn't have anyone else to play with. That drop pass on the power play exiting the zone against Edmonton was gorgeous. That resulted in a shorthanded goal. He did it again against Vancouver, and Kane went behind the net and went, God, I guess I'll go back and get this again. Joe, he provides a little bit of an offensive spark. It's fun to watch when he joins a rush. They've had some pretty tallies. He can eat a lot of minutes. Is this contract the future albatross of this team?
Yes.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
I mean, they said that about Toews and Kane when they signed their $10 million deals, and they were really good at that point in time.
Right. And DeBrincat will get something like that. He will.
Yeah.
If he does, he's got to score 40 every year.
Yeah, but he'll be in the $8 to $10 million range, though. If he gets 40 goals this year, which he will, I think he's on pace to do that. Mm-hmm. He'll be there, and then all of a sudden, now you've got two big contracts, and your two big contracts are Alex DeBrincat and Seth Jones.
Yeah,
are nearing $10 million a piece, and so are we going to be here as a very cool dude 4 suggests in 2040 on this same Rinkcast, getting a little bit grayer, going, why do we do this? Why did we do it? Are we going to be there, Sean? Is that what's going to happen?
Yes, I think we are going to be there. This is going to make Brent Seabrook's contract look like a trip to Sandals, Jamaica.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, it's Michael Scott and Jan Levinson heading down to Sandals. This is going to be this is Stan Bowman's, everyone was saying, this is Stan Bowman's imprint on the organization forever. Because his contract runs forever. Stan Bowman will be affecting this organization years when he's, giving speeches at Notre Dame or not Notre Dame, the University of Notre Dame up in Niles.
Yeah, thank you. They're not going to have him back.
No, in Niles or something like that. He'll be at that Notre Dame. It was a bad move when they did it. the price tag was too high, and then they forfeited a first-round pick in addition to that.
Yep.
And they set the franchise back for years to come with this deal because as of right now, the salary cap is staying flat or going to go down.
For a while. Yeah.
Yep.
Bardo, outlawed tunes and outlawed pipes, same song over and over again. Is that what we're going to hear?
You know, I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass this year because of the fact that he's now on his second head coach in what, 2 months of this, not even 2 months of the season, a whole new team, etc. He's got the pressure of a contract and all this other stuff. So look, we all know in the end, when you sign these guys at, age 27, 28 to these 9-10 year deals, they just, they don't end well. We just know that. The question is what are we going to get out of the middle of this deal? Yeah. What are we going to get for ages 28, 29, 30, 31, 32? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's really what it comes to. I mean, even when
he might be good, the team might not be good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. And you're right. But I mean, you hope that it doesn't enable it, but you hope it doesn't, disallow them from making actually, a quality rebuild and putting a good team around them. But who knows? I think it's just really going to depend on what we get for the next 4 to 5 years. Right. The end of the contract is going to suck. I admit that. There's no doubt about it. But you hope that somebody can come in and actually do really well with the draft, and somebody can come in and make some really smart moves. And then maybe this rebuild doesn't happen, in 10 years, and maybe it's a couple of years, and he's still good. So
I mean, I like the point that Ray brought up last week when we were talking about Jones' contract. I mean, you're giving this guy this kind of money at 27, 28, and then the other defensemen that are just signing these contracts, a guy like Charlie McAvoy, gets a similar deal at 23.
Right.
So
but that's what I was saying before, is that I don't like giving the deal at like 27, 28. Right. Like Adam Fox got it at 22, 23, whatever he is. McCullough got it his early. I mean, that's when you have to give these deals. Because, I mean, it also goes back to Marian Hossa. I was saying before is that, when they gave him his deal, it was like a 10, 12-year deal. I hated that contract. But I knew
that contract was to circumvent the salary cap, though. That's all that
right.
was.
I know it's a little bit of a different time, but it's like I knew that the end of that contract was going to suck, and it did.
It actually didn't suck because the cap hit was way higher than the actual salary. He was actually getting paid less than $1 million a year.
Well, yes, that part of it, yes.
So it actually, and I think had his skin,
Hossa was still playing at a very high level.
Right, his skin. If his skin condition hadn't gotten to him, I think he would have played out that whole deal and it would have been fine.
Yeah. Gabe, thoughts? Or Seth Jones, are we setting this up for the same thing that we've always seen?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many parts to this. Like, first of all, you had Stan Bowman, who you knew was on his way out, and you let him do all this stuff and sign this guy to this long contract. Right. That doesn't make any sense. But the end of the end of the contract is going to suck for sure. I mean, some people are saying it sucks right now, like our boy Ray Napientek. They over this great thing. You remember how everyone used to tell us that Chicago was a destination. This is where everyone wants to play. Yeah, they want to play with Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews. Well, guess what happened? They went out there and they got a defenseman who may or may not be a number one, but was one of the best on the market at the time, and paid him like a number one, overpaid him like a number one defenseman when he should have probably in reality made maybe 6.5, 7 a year. They had to overpay him by $2 million to come here to play in Chicago. Stan Bowman overpaid because the team stinks and the organization's in the shambles.
Yep.
That's why he had to overpay to get a guy that could actually play defense to come in here.
And that was before the Kyle Beach news broke. Imagine the destination tag now.
Yeah, it's not looking pretty. It's not looking that great. Anyway, well, on that happy note, we got puck drop here in about 4. If any of you have enjoyed the show tonight, thank you for coming, and we look forward to watching the Hawks get decimated. I'll have a write-up for it probably tomorrow morning that might not be that pretty. And anyway, any of you Blackhawks out there, want to learn about some of the other NHL franchises, specifically the Seattle Kraken, get after the Gatekeeper and follow some of his stuff. He's got good write-ups. He's got good podcasts. Seattle Kraken are us. Gatekeeper.
That is the Osborn way.
There it is, a.k.a. Puck and Hostile. It's not going to take that city very long to embrace their newest franchise, and they're going to get hot pretty quickly in the next
but they are struggling right now. But the Kraken
But
the Kraken Hostel, Seattle Rinkcast. Check it out if you want to learn about the Seattle Kraken.
It was the last. I can vouch. I listened to the last episode today.
You're the guy.
Yeah, I'm the guy. I listened.
You're the one guy. You're our one listen.
And they gave.
You just made the list.
Emerald City Hockey pointed out that Chris Drieger and Philip Grubauer do not even make the saves they're supposed to make. So Seattle's, and statistically they outplay the Blackhawks in the last game in every category except goals scored. And I believe that was a direct Gate quote.
Yeah.
And they do every game, actually. They outplay every team, but they don't win, which goes against everything.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor. Go out and buy a geeky jersey because that's the best name in hockey.
Yeah. All my buddies out there from Boston that thought they were going to miss Jeremy Lauzon.
Oh, my God. The guy is a pylon.
There you go.
He's brutal.
Yeah. At any rate, Seattle's a great town, and they are manic about their sports teams. So pay close attention, folks, because though they're having a rocky ride right now, it's not going to take very long for that city to embrace this squad, and they're going to be rising. And we got some great content at the rink behind it.
Yeah, once their goalies start making some saves, then watch out. They'll be coming around.
There you go. So anyway, enjoy the hockey tonight, folks. I'm Andy Campbell. Bardo, great to see you again, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Shawnee, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Kate, happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners out there. All one of them, two of them. We don't know. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Take care and go Hawks.